So this week, I was busy and didn't really have too much time to do anything that was adventurous or worth filming at all. So, I'm gonna give you a story. And that story is how Conan O'Brien saved my life. Literally. So first, a little background. This goes all the way back to like my childhood in the early 2000s. My parents had a pretty hard cutoff on when I needed to go to bed, and it was usually around 10 to 11. Like once the news hit at 11 p.m., that was it. It was time for bed. And so I always had this weird curiosity as to like what went on TV after 11:30, because I'd seen the news before, but I didn't know what happened afterward. And that was when I really discovered late night television. I felt rebellious. It's like, oh, I'm gonna stay up past the news and I'm gonna watch whatever this is, because apparently it's just for adults and only adults can watch this stuff. Ooh, because I'm so grown up. But it was just people making jokes. And well, like, I'm a person that makes jokes, so I wanted to watch that. I watched all of the late night shows. I would have favorites every once in a while. I would go off from David Letterman to Jay Leno to Kimmel back when he started hosting. I was still really little, so, and having school the next day, I would only stay up for like the monologue, and that's really it. So maybe like 11:45 was when I would finally fall asleep. I was still a kid too, so I would just fall asleep and be tired because I still had school the next day. But Fridays were the special ones. Fridays I would stay up as long as I could just to get a glimpse of what would happen, because I learned that there were shows even after the initial late night shows, from the Tonight Show to the Late Show or Late Night. And so from there, that's when I discovered this weird orange-haired dude that was super goofy and really one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He'd always be top-notch comedy. And that was Conan O'Brien. I really like Conan O'Brien. Some of his jokes were definitely stuff for like adults, and what I would have been 8 or 9 years old at the time. 8 or 9-year-old me definitely shouldn't have been listening to a lot of those, but alas, here I am. So from there, I would be up, and I kept that going for years. I would always try and stay up Fridays to watch these monologues. So fast forward a few years to when Conan is now the host of The Tonight Show. I don't have to stay up as long anymore to see my favorite late night person, because there he is at 11:30. And it was great, so I would watch his monologue and then go right to bed. And this was before I had access to like a computer or a laptop or anything to watch YouTube late at night, or even before smartphones. So I just had the TV to keep me up. And then comes 2010, when his time on The Tonight Show ended. I was heartbroken because now I no longer had any way of watching my favorite comedy person. What was I to do? So I'd just be waiting around. I missed Conan on television, and lo and behold, he decides to go on tour. And one of his first stops is Spokane, Washington, which was closer to where I grew up. My brother bought tickets for him, his girlfriend, and one of our friends. And so we all went. It was on a Friday, and I had just gotten off of school. So my brother comes and picks me up with his girlfriend, and we head on the road to Spokane. It was a little bit of a drive. We get there a little bit before the show started, enough time to grab dinner, and then we all went and we got our seats. And they were prime seats. Like we weren't like super up front, but we were like right in the middle of this concert hall. We'd gotten some merch beforehand. Let me go get it. So before the show started, we got some merch, and there it is. And then where's the date on here? Right up here in the corner, Spokane, Washington. So we got merch, and then we went and got our seats, and they were like right in the middle. There's no middle aisle in this concert hall for some reason. There was just two things along the outside, and then there was nothing, just seats. And so the show starts. There's like a video, there's like an intro video, and then comes on the opening act, which was Reggie Watts, who I'd heard of before. I think I'd seen his TED Talk at that time. This dude was ridiculous. And now I'm super glad that he's off having his own huge career. And then Conan comes on, and it is 2 hours of me laughing and enjoying jokes that are super specific just to Spokane. He made fun of something in Riverfront Square, which is a giant wagon. To this day, I still don't know what the real purpose of this thing is, but there is just a giant wagon in a park. And sure, it's cool, it's a big wagon, but like, why? This big wagon happened to be just up the street from where we were at. And so at the end of this show, all the different characters come out from different skits and different bits that he'd run throughout the whole show. And then Conan starts running around. He's running through the audience, giving high fives to everyone. I was lucky enough, and well, me and my brother and everyone were lucky enough that he decided to run through our row. And so we got high fives from this person I've looked up to for like half of my life at that point. And everything was great. I was super excited. I got to see physically someone I'd idolized for like half my life at that point in person. I got to touch him. Ah. So the show ends, and people are coming out, and of course, as with like concerts and stuff, everyone's gonna be going to the backside where the tour bus is. That's where you can get pictures from everyone that performed, the band, the special guests, everyone, because they're all getting on the tour bus. So I go out to the side, and I'm 14. I'm one of the shortest people there. I'm just patiently waiting. As like a gag, I had brought this whoopee cushion because I thought it would be funny that, oh, like this person in comedy that I idolize, I'm going to have them sign what is effectively the worst and easiest joke one can make, and that is a whoopee cushion, because fart noises are funny. Ha! And so I keep waiting. My brother, his girlfriend, and our friend are waiting in the lobby of the place while I am standing around with the rest of the group. And so everyone keeps coming by. Everyone from the band, Andy Richter, Reggie Watts, everyone's coming by and getting on this bus. There is no signs of Conan. The security guard from the place comes out, says, "Sorry, Conan left. You all missed out. Have a good night. Everyone go home." I am rightfully sad. Not gonna get my whoopee cushion signed, not gonna get a picture. Oh well. But what ends up happening, I go back to see my brother, and me being all sad, and he's telling me, all excited, that I did miss Conan. And that's because Conan O'Brien was in the lobby. He ran out through the lobby in his full suit and apparently jumped into a white windowless van looking at the crowd, and I was just like, and just laughed at all the people that totally missed out. And so I was bummed out and like, oh, that would have been funny and would have been cool to see him, but alas, I didn't. Darn. I'm all bummed out, and it's like, oh no, I didn't get to meet Conan. Oh darn. And then my brother's was just like, oh no, we need to get back home because it's like 11:30 already. As we're walking down the street, approaching the corner, there's a van coming from the opposite direction, and we see it, and the van stops in the middle of the road. And we're looking out, the door opens to this van, and out comes Conan O'Brien, totally changed into just like normal casual streetwear. That's when like fanboyism really took over my body, and I was just like, I have to go. This is my calling. This is my time. This is fate. And so without thinking, I ran across the road, and this is a pretty wide road. So I start running, I turn, and I stop. And this is when things start getting a little fuzzy, because I think the state of mind is shock. So I go full deer in the headlights, because there is a car barreling down the street. I remember it being a truck. My brother and his girlfriend at the time told me that it was a police car, but I am full on staring at this vehicle barreling towards me. And I'm just like, oh no, I am going to die. And I am going to die very brutally, yards, feet away from this person I idolize. Oh well, there are worse ways to die. And so for like a split second, I accept my fate, and then I get tugged. And there is a tug, and I am no longer in the street. I am on the sidewalk, and I am getting like patted super quickly, and this person is just throwing out expletives, fully stressed out. And I realized the person that had pulled me out of the street was Conan O'Brien. Out of all the expletives and calling me like a dumb kid for just running in the middle of the street, he was just like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Still somewhat in shock because I literally had almost died seconds before. He's making sure I'm okay. He looks over to my brother that's like on the corner still, and he's just like, is he yours? And yells at him. And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And it's like, all right, and he's like, let's get you back to your brother. And so we go to the corner. He grabs my hand because he's like, I don't expletive trust you, kid. And go walk by yourself. So he holds my hand and we walk across the street. And then my brother's girlfriend, friend are all there. And so was another crowd of people who had also been to the show. And so he looks around at everyone and he's just like, all right, let's go. And then along with the whole crowd of people, we run into Riverfront Square Park. We run to the wagon, this red wagon that just happens to be there. And he climbs up ladder into the wagon, and a bunch of people get pictures of him sliding down this wagon, and then he begins like a meet and greet with everyone that come to the show. There's maybe like 30 people there. So it was a really intimate event. And then Reggie Watts showed up too, and he started randomly playing Frisbee with everyone that was there. And so not only did Conan save my life, he also got to sign my whoopee cushion. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it when I was back home this week. And the only pictures of it, I believe, were on MySpace. So unless MySpace has that, if MySpace still has those pictures, then I'm going to do my damnedest to find those pictures, log back in. Hopefully it will be right here. And so yeah, I got my whoopee cushion signed. I met Conan. I had Conan O'Brien save my life. And I played Frisbee with Reggie Watts. And that's literally a thing I will never forget. Because had that not happened, I wouldn't be here today telling you this story. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, feel free and subscribe for more content like this, but hopefully a bit more cinematically interesting, so that it's not just me talking to this camera like 2 feet away from my face. All right, bye.